The ground trembled violently as buildings cracked, alarms blared, and terrified screams filled the streets. Amid the chaos, Ethan Carter, a struggling single dad, shielded his 7-year-old daughter Lily under a shattered cafe table, praying for the shaking to stop. He had been on his way to the most important job interview of his life, a chance to finally secure stability for his little girl, but fate had other plans. When the earth finally went silent, dust and fear hung in the air. Ethan's phone buzzed with desperate messages. His interview had been postponed, the office building damaged. But before he could process relief, a faint cry pierced through the rubble near the collapsed bookstore across the street. "Help! Somebody, please!" Ethan turned toward the voice, heart pounding. People were running in every direction, terrified of aftershocks. No one stopped. But Ethan couldn't ignore that desperate sound. He looked at Lily, trembling in his arms. "Stay right here, sweetheart. Daddy will be back," he promised. He sprinted toward the ruins, pushing away fallen debris with bleeding hands. Beneath a cracked beam, he found a woman unconscious, trapped from the waist down. Dust covered her face, but he could see her faintly breathing. "Hang in there!" Ethan shouted, trying to lift the beam. It wouldn't budge. He screamed for help, but no one came. So he used everything he had, leverage from a broken sign, the strength of pure will, and finally, after minutes that felt like hours, freed her leg and carried her out into the light. Her pulse was weak, but steady. Ethan laid her on the sidewalk, tore his own shirt to bandage her bleeding forehead, and whispered, "You're safe now. You'll be okay." He didn't know it then, but saving that stranger would change everything. Hours passed. The city was in chaos, sirens, dust, and broken hearts everywhere. Ethan couldn't go back to the interview even when the company texted about rescheduling. He spent the day helping the injured, comforting Lily, and keeping hope alive. That night, as he sat outside the emergency shelter, Lily asleep in his arms, exhaustion hit him hard. He had nothing left, no job, no money, no home. Just the same dream that somehow tomorrow would be better. The woman he saved was taken away by paramedics earlier. He didn't even know her name. Still, he prayed for her. "Please, God, let her live," he whispered into the cold night. The next morning, as Ethan tried to calm Lily, who missed her bed and her toys, a black car pulled up in front of the shelter. 2 men in suits stepped out. "Are you Ethan Carter?" one asked. Ethan hesitated, afraid something was wrong. Then the rear door opened, and the woman he'd saved stepped out, her leg in a brace, but alive and radiant. Her eyes glistened as she walked toward him. You saved me," she said softly. "I've been looking for you." Still, the scars ran deep. One afternoon, while folding laundry, she asked, "Why are you doing all this for us, Daniel? You barely know me." He smiled sadly. "Because someone once did the same for me. When my wife died, I was broken. A neighbor took me in, helped me raise my boy. I promised myself if I ever saw someone drowning like I was, I'd pull them out." That night, Emily sat outside under the stars, whispering a prayer she hadn't said in years. "Thank you for sending us someone who sees us." But peace never comes without a fight. One evening, Emily's abusive husband, Mark, showed up, drunk and raging. He'd found out where she was through a neighbor. He kicked the gate open and screamed, "You think you can take my wife and kids, you lowlife?" Daniel stood firm, shielding Emily and the girls. "They're not yours to hurt anymore." Mark lunged forward, but Daniel blocked his blow. Years of hard labor had built Daniel's strength, but what fueled him that night was something more powerful, a father's heart. The police arrived moments later, called by Eli, who had hidden inside and dialed for help. Mark was taken away, still shouting empty threats. Emily fell to her knees, trembling, as Daniel wrapped her in a safe, steady embrace. "It's over," he whispered. "You're safe now." Weeks later, Emily filed for full custody and started working at a nearby cafe. Daniel often helped her get there early, watching the kids until school started. Slowly, she began to smile again, not out of habit, but out of hope. One morning, Emily found a small box on the kitchen table. Inside was a simple key and a note that read, "For the first time, you don't need to ask permission to be free. This is your home too if you want it. Tears filled her eyes. She looked at Daniel, speechless. He smiled, the same gentle smile that had saved her life once before. You and the girls deserve a home where no one ever has to be afraid again. Emily hugged him, whispering, "Thank you for giving us back our lives." Months later, their small house became a place of laughter, healing, and second chances. The girls called Daniel Uncle Danny, and Eli proudly introduced them as his sisters. And one evening, as the sunset painted the sky gold, Daniel took Emily's hand and said softly, "You know, when I said you're coming with me that night, I didn't just mean to safety." She looked at him, smiling through tears. "I meant," he continued, "you're coming with me into a new life." And for the first time in years, Emily didn't look back.